Mythology and religion are no strangers to relics and artifacts, from sacred objects of worship to tools with immense power. Each of them have a legend of their own. Sometimes, however, there is a person who is strongly associated with a certain relic, some of which even have folklore surrounding their relationship and beyond. Among these wielders, however, there is a one particular figure who also happen to be a part of the growing roster of demons within the Megaton franchise. As such, I will take a deep dive on the archaic legends behind him. So welcome once again to the Demon Compendium, and for this episode, we will take a look at the tale of the Centurion, purified by the blood of the divine and wielding the Holy Spear of Faith, Longinus. Longinus is one of the demons that rarely gets to appear in the franchise, and even if it does, he usually fulfills minor roles. As a demon introduced in the Devil Summoner series, a series brimming with demons who barely get an appearance outside of the series beyond some obscure cameos, Longinus is quite intriguing on the fact that while he, as a reputable demon himself, barely have a major role, the very spear that he wielded is able to have a much larger role than he could ever achieve at the time of this video's release. So before we can look at the many appearances of this legendary soldier and his well-known spear, we should first dive deep into the history behind Longinus. Longinus is the name given to an unnamed soldier who is seen in the Gospel of John, being one of the minor characters in the story of Jesus Christ's crucifixion. In the said Gospel, the locals want those who are crucified on that time to be entombed as soon as possible as the Sabbath draws near, and requested the assigned Roman soldiers to remove them. The Roman soldiers would try to hasten death of those who are crucified by breaking their legs off, and while successfully doing so on two crucified criminals who happened to be near Jesus, they found out that Jesus himself is already dead. To make sure that he is truly dead, an unnamed soldier who came to be known as Longinus pierced the crucified Jesus on his side with his spear, and just like any recently deceased corpse, immediately spurted blood and water upon being pierced, forming what is known as the last of the wounds Jesus has sustained during the crucifixion, the 5 holy wounds. According to some accounts, he is last seen on that scene proclaiming that Jesus is indeed the Son of God. As this unnamed soldier would never be seen again later in the story, most of Longinus' background and what happened to him afterwards became a topic on multiple non-canonized texts as well as a handful of legends, with the first of these texts being the Prelate Cycle, a group of various apocryphal Christian texts that recounts what happened after the crucifixion, and is said to be written by either Pontius Pilate, the one who ordered Jesus' execution, or someone close to him, or the events that transpires. Starting with the Acapulate, also known as the Gospel of Nicodemus, Longinus' name first appeared, being said to be the Latinized version of the Greek longe, which means lance or spear, the tool that he used to pierce the dead Jesus with. The other two texts that mention him, the letter of Herod to Pilate and the letter of Pilate to Herod, despite what the title may imply, tell us the different aftermath of Longinus and to some extent the other major characters that are related to the crucifixion. For the former, Longinus is basically punished from piercing Jesus by being trapped in a cave and eternally mauled by a lion every night, with his wounds regenerating every dawn, all until the end of time. Not a great ending for our hero, and a bit lopsided as opposed to the much more deserved villainous characters who are also getting punished in the latter. Thought the specific legends of his died out in favor of the much more banal fate which is seen in the latter letter. Here, he would convert into Christianity alongside Pilate and his wife after Jesus' resurrection, thought their likely final fate is martyrdom. This final fate of his is also seen in a much more famous legend regarding him that first appeared in the 10th century. has eye problems partially due to either of age or of sickness. The reason why he has one in the first place is irrelevant, as the said problem is cured by the drop of Jesus' blood during the time he pierced the crucified Jesus. Now that he is cured of his problem, as well as the fact that Jesus himself comes back from the dead, he later becomes a firm believer of Jesus, which is very unfortunate as he suffered persecution for his newfound beliefs, which resulted in his death by decapitation, as seen in this photo. After his death, the very spear that he used to pierce Jesus with would later continue his legacy and become the well-known lance of Longinus, also known as the Holy Spear. This spear is a religious relic that later became popular in non-religious literary texts and even in popular media, such as in the opera of Parsifal, where the spear has connection on the Holy Grail, the important relic sought after by the Knights of Arthurian legends, as well as the spear of Longinus in Neon Genesis Evangelion, a powerful bidon that's said to have immense power. Intriguingly enough, there are at least 4 relics that are likely to be the Lance of Longinus, with one being allegedly on Antioch, one on Armenia, another on Rome, and finally on Vienna, which is connected to a certain political party. First debuted in Devil Summoner's Soul Hackers, his main design is that of a bare-chested, spear-wielding gladiator with a lean and muscular physique and an orange skin tone, wearing a light brown armored undergarment, a black manica on his right arm, black gloves and belt, a red scarf around his neck, and a rusted bronze helmet with an odd eye-like shape on the center, all while also having a short sword and a rusted bronze lionfish shield around his waist and a partially bandaged spear on his hands. There's a ton of potential nods to be taken for this seemingly simple design, so let's start with the obvious nod first, with his eye-like shape on his helmet being a nod to his eyesight that is mentioned in later legends. The lionfish shield is a nod to his less savory and less popular fate. His face being concealed, as well as the red scarf around his neck, can be a reference to his death by beheading, and his spear is a very tongue-in-cheek nod to the spear of Longinus itself. What exact type of gladiator this Longinus is based on is a bit tricky. Thought based on the weapon and armor that he had, he is likely to be based on the Hoplomachus, gladiators made to look like the Greek hoplite. Thought he could be an amalgamation of multiple types of gladiators, such as the Roman beast Murmillo, the polearm-wielding and bare-chested Retiatrius, and the aforementioned Hoplomachus. Overall, a relative simple yet cool design that make him one of my top semi-historical demons in the franchise, as well as one of the demons that I would find. His Devil Children design, however, in my opinion, is a bit of a downgrade, as design opting to make him a light violet Roman soldier with a green cape, a spear on hand that has a smoking tip, and a smoky thing near his head. Not sure what to make of the smoke thing since it is above his eyes, so let's just assume it could just be a reference to his much more famous legends. Personally, this design is a bit more generic and it has odd coloration. Gameplay-wise, he is a member of the general race in most of his appearances, from his first appearance in Soul Hackers to the trading card game, and even more recently in Megami Tensei Dx2, which marks the first time he appears in 3D, serving as a very rare and powerful demon that one can battle and summon thanks to the event appropriately named Centurion of Sorrow. The only game where he is not part of the general race is in Devil Children Firebook and Icebook, and in Persona Q2 New Cinema Labyrinth, the only Persona game where he can be summoned as a persona. For the former, he is part of the alternate type and can be obtained in Icebook, in which he is given to you by Eligor for registering 300 demons in Compendium. For the latter, he is a member of the Tower Arcana and is a special vision unlocked after completing one of Elizabeth's quests. Using Tunlin and Kartikeya, demons whose design includes a polearm of some sort as fusion materials. Speaking of fusion materials, he can only be obtained in Soul Hackers by fusing a level 70 Zed and Metatron in the New Moon. In all of his appearances up to today, he is a high-level physical attacker that also knows some electric and light magics on some occasion. Other than that, he has no other role in the franchise as a demon, though his spear does appear more often than him, being a potential weapon to equip in the game. Though there is one particular game where his name and his spear has a major role in it. Persona 2 Innocent Sin is the game where the Lance of Longinus, also known in the game as the Spear of Destiny, has the most major role in all of their appearances. The spear in question is a very powerful spear that can result in unhealable wounds, being integral to Neatroplet's plan to destroy the world and win the bet against Philemon. This game of his has also included the Last Battalion, the remnants of Nazi who re-emerged from their long inactivity in the South Pole, who are spearheaded by none other than Adolf Hitler himself, who in reality is just an avatar of Neatroplet. We make the rumor that Hitler is still alive and there's still remnants of the original Nazi real. Anyway, as a nod to the Nazi relationship with the Vienna's Lance of Longinus, which they stole for nationalistic gains of course, Hitler also wields the said spear and has an army of robotic enemies that wields a copy of the spear, which appropriately known as the Longinus 13, better known as the Order of the Holy Lance. They are composed of 13 humanoid robots with aircraft elements whose name designations are based on Germanic numbers, and with the exception of Ains, or Longinus number 1, who is white, their color is black. Likely to be based off Heinrich Himmler, Hitler's general who was taking interest in the occult, and to some extent the Vienna's Lance of Longinus, as well as his fellow generals. This Nazi mech and their leader are some of the tough bosses to be fought in the later segment of the game, with Hitler being the first phase in the final battle. And once defeated, Neatropets revealed himself, only to be defeated by the main cast. Unfortunately for them, his plan is still successful when Maya Amonau is killed by the piercing of the spear, fulfilling his prophecy and temporarily winning the bet, until Philemon's intervention, which would later result in his true defeat in eternal punishment. Personally, Longinus is quite an intriguing addition to the roster of demons of the Megaton franchise. Being based on an intriguing legendary and semi-historical figure, and having a very cool design with some tongue-in-cheek nods to his legend, it is a bit of a shock that he barely makes an appearance in the franchise. While he himself doesn't make a ton of appearances, his spear does certainly leaves an impression to those who have seen it in action. For an oddly obscure demon, I really take a liking on him. Anyway, what are your thoughts on this demon? Do you think we may be able to see him again in the later installment of the franchise? What information do I miss? And what information is downright wrong? Tell me down in the comment section below, and see you guys in the next video. Farewell and have a nice day to all of you.